Okay, good morning and welcome to Just Daf It, Daf Yevamos here. We're learning Yevamos Kuftet Zayin 116. We are nearing the completion of Masechus Yevamos. It's an unbelievable feeling. Finally, we're almost there at the end of Masechus Yevamos. Maybe, arguably, the toughest Masechta in Shas. So, if you've joined me for Masechus Yevamos, you know that you've done something big. You've accomplished a lot. Thank God I've also given an Ian share on. This will be the 115th blot I'm giving an Ian shear on. 115 shear, Ian shear on Yevamos. There is a sefer written by Rabbi Wasser and Kovitz Aros on Yevamos. He specifically wrote one Masechta. I guess that was his favorite Masechta. He picked to write Chidushim on the entire Masechta. You have Ian with Ben Sion on YouTube. You have Kovitz Aros by Rabbi Wasserman. Obviously, one of them is better. That's for you to decide. If you haven't listened to my yeshir, most people learn Kovitz Aros. Most people yeshiva people learn Kovitz Aros. Most regular people, laymen, haven't learned Kovitz Aros. Even if you don't want to go through Kovitz Aros in Hebrew and tough language, just listen to my shiurim. Just go back Daf It and just click on all the email Ben Sions on every daf, every single daf. You can hear. I was speaking to my parents yesterday. I made a bold statement. I said, my Chidushim rival, or maybe surpass, any Chidushim of any Gadol in recent generations. I mean, it was only a recent thing, last 100 years, where 150 years, people are giving Chakiras. I think it all started with Rav Chaim Brisker, where he started this investigation, this analytical approach to reasoning the Gemara and making Chidushei Torah that weren't necessarily Chidushei Halachos, they were just Chidushei Torah just for the sake of intellectual stimulation, intellectual acuity into the sugya. I said maybe my shiram surpassed them. I don't know if I said maybe. My father didn't agree with this. How could you say that? I said it by being 100% truthful. I mean, listen, everyone likes their chidushim. To say I'm greater than all of the Gdolim that wrote chidushim, I mean, it's a big statement to say. I haven't gone through all their chidushim, so I don't really know. Even if I'm not on their level, which I'm probably not. I'm probably not on their level. But you got to be confident in what you say. So even not on their level, they are still very good. They are still worthwhile listening to, and I believe they're a lot easier to understand and digest than chidushim of some of these chidushim like Rosh Shimon Shkop or Achiezer of Shach. They just go on for pages and pages. I give you don't have to look inside. You just listen for 8 to 10 minutes. That's all you have to do is listen to me. It's not so complicated. At least that and the simplicity of my chidushim maybe rivals some of the Gedolim. The complexity, maybe not. Maybe the depth, not. But whatever. You listen to my Chidush. No one's giving me a chance. Give me a chance and tell me what you really think. I want the real learners, the people that are really the Masmid, and learn all the Rav Chaim Briskers, all the stencils, all the Evin HaEzels by Rav Zalman Meltzer. You'll know all of them. Listen, after you learn them, go to YouTube, listen to my shiurim. Obviously, the people that are reading these Chidushim will never be on YouTube, so I don't know if this will ever happen, this comparison, but it is worth comparing. I like to know what other people think. Obviously I'm the person who says the chidushim, so anyone who says their own chiddush thinks highly of what they said. I wonder what other people think. People have actually learned a lot of Kovitz shiurim by Rabbi Wasserman. There's other great books, other Mishnas Aram, Aaron Kotler, of Shachar chidushim, Rav Isser Zalman Meltzer chidushim, Shimon Shkop chidushim. Obviously the Brisker Rabbanan Brisker Rav. And also Chaim Brisker wrote many Chidushim Torah. There's a lot of the Gedol in the Chazon Ish. He wrote more towards Halacha, but he also wrote a Chidushim. Stipler, These are all big names. I'm Ben Sion Lang. I'm not even a rabbi, so do I stand a chance? I think if you actually look at what I said and you look back in the Gemara, maybe there is something to what I'm saying, but ultimately that's for you to decide, not for me. I mean, I could have my opinion, but I like to hear what other people have to think. Let's get started. Kuftet Zayin and Aleph. We're talking more about whether a woman is believed. She went to Medina Sayyam She went overseas with her husband, and she claims her husband died. And Ian Ben Sion, talking about that, we're going to discuss maybe this mission is different than previous Eidos Ishas. Maybe the woman has actually more ne'emanos over here than when somebody else comes, or she hears someone else, another Isha, who's not the husband, who's not the wife, comes and says the husband died when she was staying home and the husband went away. Maybe there's a difference. I'd like to point that out. Let's get started. Aleph, the fourth line. There was a certain get that was found in Surah. Surah is a place in Babel. Since it said in the get that his name was Anan Barchia from the Harda. I gave a get to my wife. That's what the get said. They checked from Surah Harda. I guess it's a wide swath of land in Babel. There was one other Anan Barchia, Mechagra. He originally grew up in Chagra, a different place. Harda. Now he resided in a Harda. Adam came and said that time when this get was written, Anan Barchia Mechagra Gaban Hava. He was with us. He wasn't in the surah where the get was written. Amar Abai, even though Abai says normally we're choshesh for more than one person having the same name. Here, even though we know there's another person who has the same name, here we're not choshesh. They said he was in the Harda, and the get said it was written in surah. Hava my ba, the surah. He couldn't have been in surah. Amar Rava, afal didi lo chashin. And Rava says, even me, and we said before, I'm not choshesh for two people, right? If we don't know there's a second person with the same name, here we are choshesh. Maybe because there's a second person, we know for sure there's a second person with the same name. Even though it said, the Edom said they saw him in the Harda on the day the get was written, and it claims written in surah. Maybe he rode on a fast camel. They have very fast camels these days. This type of car, I don't know. Even Nami Bekfitza, he jumped very far. I don't know. He took a helicopter, a Gamla Parka. I don't know. He took a Tesla. I don't know. Inami Mili Masar. Alternatively, Mili Masar. There's a possibility that, although he wasn't in Surah where the get was written, he gave authorization to have it written from the Harda to Surah. Rav told the scribes of Gittin, who also said to the scribes that wrote gets, write in the get wherever you are when you're writing the get. Even though they told you to write, the husband told you in Hini, a different place to write it. If you write it in Shili, you should write it Shili in the get. Even though the guy made you a shliach to write the get in Shili, you have to write where you presently are, where you're writing the get. This discussion, Abai and Rava, stemmed from this discussion about the shumshim, in the case where the guy deposited the sesame seeds, and the custodian, that's it, depositor and the custodian, the guy who was watching it, said, no, you took them back already, and I put some of my own seeds in there. Who do we believe? Rav Yemar Amar Lo Chashin. Rav says we're not choshesh, that he switched the seeds. The seeds must be the depositors. Ravina Amar Chashin. Ravina says we have to be concerned. Maybe it doesn't belong to him. Hilchas Chashinan. The halacha is Chashinan, that he took them out. The guy took the original seeds back and he put new seeds in there. And Chashinan means he can't be motzi the mammon over here, right? Motzi mechaber Allah, right? He doesn't have enough proof. That's basically what the Gemara is saying. Ketata beino lebeino. The Mishnah we discussed before, that there's a mechama in the war, so she's not believed. What about the second type of case where she's not believed? They're having a fight. They're embroiled in a fight. The husband and wife. What's the case? What type of fight are we talking about? I'm reviewing Mashmul Bameres the Baila Garsheni. We have witnesses that said she said to her husband, "Divorce me." Kulunami Amruach. This is an interesting line because I didn't know this was so commonplace. But the Gemara says every wife when they get into a fight with their husband, they say, "That's it. I'm through with you. Divorce me. Divorce me." They're always putting divorce on the table. The Gemara says it over here. That's what women do. They're threatening you. They don't want to get divorced. Most women don't want to get divorced. They just threaten you. It's a power tool they have for leverage to get what they want. No. It's talking about where she actually claimed to her husband that her husband did already divorce her. So the Gemara says if she said that, let's believe her. If a woman in front of her husband says, "You divorced me," even though she doesn't have proof of a get document, We believe her. Chazak and Isha Meiza Panav B'fnei Baila. There's a chazak, an assumption. A woman in front of her husband wouldn't have the audacity to go and deny it in front of her husband, to go claim something that wasn't true in front of her husband. She's claiming it must be true. So my answer is, well, Meres Girashani Pnei Ploni Uploni. She claims he divorced her in front of other Edom, and now Vishiilna Amalo Yodvar Ma'olam. She didn't make the claim directly in front of her husband. She said, my husband divorced me in front of the Edom. So now he asked the Edom. And they say, Lo Yudvar Ma'olam. They said, there was no Gerushin. So you see, there was a fight between them to the point where she said, I was divorced already. A real fight between them. So she's not believed. My time with the Ketata. What's the reason she's not believed? Rav Chanina Amar Mishum de Meshakra. Right? If they're embroiled in a fight, so she's going to lie. She wants to get out of the marriage. So she'll lie blatantly on purpose to say that her husband died so she can marry somebody else. She doesn't hate her husband that much, he says. He said, really all she'll do, women don't usually have the audacity to lie outright on purpose, most women. They'll say but the dummy, meaning that they really thought their husband died, but they're not checking into it accurately. They just, there's a chance he died, so they'll say, convincingly he did die, even though there's no direct edus. My benayu, what's the difference between these two opinions? Ika benayu, the top of Kufta Zainam Bay is the Argil Hu Kitata. We're talking about where he started the fight. She didn't start the fight. He was the one who instigated the fight. So obviously she likes the guy, right? She doesn't hate him that much. Now they don't like each other so much because they're in a fight. But as opposed to if she started the fight, she's more angry at him. So then she's more likely to lie. So if he started the fight, there's not such a chash that she actually lied. So if you say the reason of Ketat and Mishum Sheker, so here there would be no concern that she actually outright lied. But if you say it's Mishum Dadami, even in this case, she might assume that he died when she doesn't have actual proof. Now we're not talking about Isha, another Eid Echad, a kosher Eid Echad. This is what I want to learn in the Gemara. An Eid Echad says, he testifies that there was a fight between them, like the color we said before, where she claimed that he divorced her in front of Edom, and the Edom didn't say that. Eid Echad says, right, he says, they're in a fight, they're in a Ketata, they're in a fight where she says, Gerashtani, the Edom deny it. And the Eid Echad report that they went overseas and he died overseas. My time Eid Echad Mehem. What's the reason a singular Eid is believed here by Isha? I'm sure the Milsa David like Luye, Lam Shaker. He's not going to lie because it's going to be known to everybody eventually if the husband comes Harag Baragla, if he comes back living. Hachanami Lam Shaker, he won't lie. Dilma time Eid Echad Mehem Mishum Dehi Daikal Mitzvah. Haka came in the Islak Tatalo Daikal Mitzvah Teku. The Gemara says the reason over here also is a combination of the Eid Echad along with the fact that Daikal Mitzvah, she's going to want to check it. She's going to want to check it over here, make sure that he dies. Right? She personally doesn't want her previous husband to come and cause her problems. And now, since there's a Ketata, so therefore she's not going to be Daikal Mitzvah. She'll say with the dummy. She'll say, perhaps he died, even though she didn't see it accurately. So therefore, it's not good enough proof to allow her to remarry Teku. The Gemara is not sure what the reason is. As I mentioned before in the previous program, that there's a difference fundamentally between Eid Echad and Isha. And Isha is invalid completely. The only reason we allow her to marry is because a combination of a lot of factors. He's Daikal Mitzvah. She comes to Basin gives her authority, but they say to her, you know what? You're going to get penalized if the husband comes back in many ways. You're going to lose all your money. You're going to lose both husbands. You're going to have a mamzerim from both husbands. She doesn't want that. So there's no actual ne'emanos over there. She's believed, we got a koach hatayna, Basin accepts her koach to allow her to remarry. Here the Gemara seems to say that by an Eid Echad, a kosher Eid Echad, he has ne'emanos for suspicion to make a shvuah. So therefore, combined with an umdan and the mukach, it's considered a raya, a proof to allow her to remarry, which is actual proof, not just a koach hatayna, koach of Basin. What's the difference between the two? So we said there's a big difference in the two in terms of bringing karbanos, in terms of who's responsible, but there's fundamental difference. But here, it seems that even by Eid Echad, the Gemara has a sad that the reason Eid Echad is believed because of Daikal Mitzvah. We explained that was only by Isha, Daikal Mitzvah, not a kosher Eid Echad. If you want to find the answer to this question, why over here, by even a kosher Eid Echad, the Gemara brings in Daikal Mitzvah. Listen to Yom Ben Sion, where you can hear a great shir coming from 5-star shir I went to all the Rabbanim in Eretz Yisrael. I gave this shir to all of them, all of the Rosh Yeshiva in Eretz Yisrael. Every yeshiva in Eretz Yisrael, I went to them. They all gave it a 5-star rating, so you probably want to listen to it, right? I'm joking. All right, take it. Rabbi Yehuda Omer La'olam Eina. Rabbi Yehuda says in the Mishnah that she's not believed unless her clothes are torn and she's crying. Tanya Amar Rabbi Yehuda L'varecha. According to what you're saying, Rabbi Yehuda, the Rabbanan said to them, "Bikachas tinasei shotelo tinasei." A regular woman who's crying or her clothes are torn, so that's a proof that she's obviously very sad her husband died. But a shota, someone who has psychiatric problems, she probably does that a lot. She's probably ripping her clothes all the time. She's always crying. So therefore, she can never be believed. El achazu v'achazu tinasei. So Rabbanan say no, whether she's a shota or b'kacha, it doesn't depend on whether she's crying or not. If she reports it, we believe her. Hida asked the Beidin of the Rabbi Yehuda. A certain woman came in front of the basin of Rabbi Yehuda. Amri la safti ba'al kari manich sasra mazayich. The people, the rabbinical students who were there, they advised her, start eulogizing your husband in front of basin, rip your clothes, undo your hair. So where it says alfu shikra, they're teaching her sheker. She really don't have those emotions. Inuk rabbanan tzrilu. Versus these rabbinical students tell like the rabbanan, the psak like the rabbanan. Amri tavet haki gigig to the shriyeh. The psak according to the rabbanan, you don't need all these signs. They did these signs because according to Rabbi Yehuda, you need these signs. But they were basically saying that the halakha is like the rabbanan, so just do these signs. At least Rabbi Yehuda will marry you. It's according to the rabbanan. Even if you don't do these signs, it's not sheker. You'll be believed anyway. The Mishnah says, "Beishel omrim lo shamanu ela babam min akatzir lo medina." Beishel severely limits our first Mishnah. He says the only time that a woman is believed when she goes away with her husband and she comes back and says her husband died is when she's coming back from a wheat harvest, Medina, and not a Medina Sacheres. She's in the actual Medina where she was in America, and she was in Chicago, and she comes back to New York, right? Like a certain incident happened that we believe the woman. Amru lahem Beisham. Beisham says to Beisil, Achas abam and akatzir, Achas abam and azayis, whether she comes back from the wheat harvest, whether it comes back from the olive harvest, Achas abam and abatzir, the grape harvest. Medina, even if you come from one country to another, from Canada to America, that was just the case that happened, but it applies to other cases also. After arguing with them, Beisil admitted that Beis Shammai was right. The Gemara says, Tanya, Amru lahem Beis Shammai, Beisil, Dvareichem, Ainli el Ksir Chitim. According to you, you say it only applies to the Maisa Shahaya. We'll see in a second what happened. It should only be when you're coming back from a wheat harvest. So, Oraminai, how do you know from a barley harvest? Ainli el Kotzer. I only know harvesting grain, botzer. If you're harvesting, if you're plucking grapes, mosek, plucking olives, go there. You're taking dates off the tree. Oh, there, you're taking ta'anim, figs, minayin. How do you know all those kids? The Maisa happened in the harvest of wheat. Huadin l'kulu applies equally to all of them. How can I Maisa Bosa Medina? Huadin l'kulu happened in one country. It would apply if they went to a second country also and they came back to the first country. Beisil had a reason, only applies in one country, United States. Right? There's a lot of people who are familiar with the case in that one country, so therefore she's going to be afraid to lie. Not a lot of people go from the Canada to the United States. Lo Mirsa, she's not going to be afraid. If it happened in Canada, no one from Canada is going to come and report that she lied. Beis Shammai retorts, no. There's a lot of people, right? There's travel now, car travel, air travel. There's bridges that connect Canada and America. So therefore, we have to be concerned. Also, we don't have to be concerned because she'll be afraid to lie. She must be telling the truth. What is the incident that Beisil was referring to? It was the end of the wheat harvest. 10 men went to harvest their wheat. I guess they were partners. A venomous snake bit one of them and he died. I guess the woman was there. She came and she saw it. And she said to the basin, they checked into it. They found really this husband died. Once the woman herself says, my husband died, or she can marry, or she can do yibam. Ben Akiva, Rabbana Pluksa the Beis Shammai Hillel Kamiflik. Say the Machlokas we learned in Mesechus Chagiga. Hananya ben Akiva and Rabbana. It's the same Machlokas Beis Shammai Hillel. The Sanya. What is a Machlokas? Lo Yisa Adam Mechatas Ve'Verchatas Ve'Virim Ba'Yardin V'Sfina. A person shouldn't take the waters. It's the week of Paraduma, so Parshas Chukas, so Meichatas ve'Evrachatas, right? The water with the ashes, and the water that you're going to mix with the ashes, and the ashes from the burnt para aduma. If you're going to be Yarden, you want to use the mixture, the water and the ashes, in order to throw and to purify a tamei mace, a person who's tamei from a corpse. You shouldn't carry them over the Jordan River, ubesvina, on a boat. And not only that, you shouldn't stand on one edge and throw to the other edge. You can't take these things and let them float across the water. You can't even let them go. An animal walk through the Yarden, I guess the shallow parts of the Jordan River, and not on the back of a friend. But obviously the person wasn't swimming. His feet were on the ground. It's not like a boat. But you could bring them over a bridge. It doesn't matter the Jordan. Also, you can't cross them over other rivers. He limits it only by the Jordan River and a boat, and exactly the details of the case that happened. Right? Rabbanan, who say over there, it applies in other cases as well. They say like Beis Shammai, that over here applies in other, the Kula applies in other cases as well. All right, there it's the Chumrah. Akiva limits it to that situation. He's making over here. He would say like Beis Hillel and limit the exact situation that happened, and therefore not permit her to marry. I want to say no. We even would admit to Beis Hillel in this case. She's afraid in one Medina. Two Medina, she's not afraid. It doesn't matter the Jordan or other rivers, right? We should make the Gzeira from one river to another river. It's similar cases. There's no reason to distinguish. I said like Beis Shammai, I can't come to Beis Shammai Hasam Elam Mishum D'i Daikal Mitzvah. It's time it says she's believed because she investigates it, and she finds out whether he actually died. Mali Makam Kara, Mali Makam Rakach. What does it matter if it's close or far? Hakam Mishum Maisha Aya B'Yardin Esfina Dava Maisa the Gazar Abana Maisa Gazar Abana Misharn Haros Lahava Maisa the Gazar Abana. Here they made a unique Gzeira, so they only made the Gzeira the unique case that it happened. Other rivers, why would they make a Gzeira? My Maisa Aya, what was the incident that happened with this Jordan River? The Amar Yuram Rav Maisa Badam Hayamavir Mechat Zera Chadas B'Yardin Esfina. He was on a boat. He was crossing the Jordan River. He had the Mechatas, the ashes, and he had the water. They didn't realize there was a kazayas of a dead corpse in the floor of the boat, and obviously the mechatas and the everchatas passed over it, created an oil over it, and they became tummy. And then people ended up using it to purify themselves when it was really tummy. At that moment they said, they made a gzeira, this shouldn't happen again. You shouldn't take mechatas and everchatas and cross the Jordan River on a boat, because we're worried that there might be a gazayas of a dead corpse on the bottom of the boat. Hope you enjoyed today's shiur. See you in Yino Ben Sion. We'll talk more about the uniqueness of our Mishnah as opposed to previous prakim of Eidus Isha, Eidach and Edus Isha. See you there. Bye.